Chair, I present to you Dr. George Szirtes for admission to the Honorary Fellowship of Goldsmiths, University of London.
Of Goldsmiths College. Many congratulations.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's a great and unexpected pleasure to be awarded an honorary fellowship by one's old college. And my first act must be to thank the Council and the Warden of the College for the privilege, but also to congratulate all those who have received degrees today. Those of you who are receiving degrees, who have just received them, are artists, art historians, students of English and American literature or drama, and in the case of higher degrees of creative writing too. All these degrees cover various parts of my own background. The fact is, I was only at Goldsmiths for a year, between 72 and 73, and that was for the purpose of doing a postgraduate art teaching certificate, which was following my degree in fine art in Leeds. That was a degree, though, when I came to this college, so well known now for both the artists and writers it has just nourished. I nurtured no particular ambition to be a teacher. I had to do something. I was a painter and a poet and needed to survive, especially since I was already married and we were expecting our first child. What had attracted me, chiefly, was a generous provision of studio time, which was very unusual, and the availability of a studio in a cellar of what was then a disused car showroom, which were Goldsmiths used for the course. The college seemed to accept that one's life as an artist had not come to an end with teaching. You could teach and yet be an artist. I have been teaching most of my life until very recently. It has been a circuitous route getting here, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, although I don't want to go into an awful lot of biographical detail. You've already heard that. As has been said, I was born in Budapest in 1948 and probably would have stayed there had it not been for the revolution of 1956, when my family, like many thousand others, took the illegal route out of Hungary and walked across the border, becoming refugees in the process. Once in Austria, we were offered a flight to England and arrived here in the winter of '56, spending our first few months on Kent coast in an off-season boarding house, along with many other refugees. We had nothing at all at the time, so we're utterly dependent on whatever hospitality was offered. That hospitality, I should say, was generous and efficient. We were seen as victims of Soviet imperialism and aggression, and this was at the height of the Cold War, so our welcome was partly conditioned by our circumstances. From Kent, we moved to London. Having been a clever boy at school in Budapest, my parents assumed I would do well at school here and eventually become what they intended me to be, which is a doctor, preferably a heart surgeon. The trouble was I had neither the head for sciences nor the necessary manual skill to be delving into delicate human organs. In fact, I wasn't even particularly good at school. Okay, but nothing more. Nevertheless, I did sciences to A-level, and having dropped art at the age of 13, picked it up again for a term at the end of my sixth form. To everyone's astonishment, I did well at it. Now, I'd already started writing poems, quite suddenly, in fact, and I'll tell you about that. This is how it happened. A friend stopped me in the school corridor and showed me a poem written by a mutual acquaintance, asked what I thought of it. I didn't like it. I didn't know much about poems at all, and I'd only read a few while supposedly doing physics homework. And of course I didn't say so. I didn't quite know why I didn't like it. But I knew something about it wasn't right. But I knew at that moment, strange as it sounds, not why, that this is what I wanted to do, that this is what I wanted to write, this is what I wanted to be. It's the first time I had ever any clear notion of what that might be. So the thought had never crossed my mind before. I had no really independent notion of the future at the time. Life had been a sort of series of anxieties and partial failures to that point, and now my course seemed clear. Not for my parents, of course. Art was no career, and poetry was even less. Now, something about poetry. And when I speak about poetry here, I hope I'm speaking a little for all the arts. What is poetry? We know what it is in our bones. Everyone does. For a writer, it is a particular sense of the world as it meets language. It is the way words strike each other and form something beyond themselves. It is not lyrical speech, and definitely not a pretty way of saying something that could be said more plainly. It is language that is compelling in its own way, however simple or difficult, or hot or cold, or direct or ironic. It is the world and our experience of it in language. It is complexity coming to a shape, becoming a process that reads as meaning. It is terrible and beautiful things assuming a comprehensible shape in words. But it is not just for readers, or in fact writers. Even those who are not writers and never read a poem, it is, as W.H. Auden once put it in his poem in memory of W.B. Yeats, a vital way of happening. Or it is what Finn McCool, in Irish legend, decides is the music of what happens. It is the way someone steps out through a door, the way something lies on a table, the way a move in, say, football leads to goal, the way light moves, the way something extremely minute makes sense by being itself, yet being other and more. It happens to everyone. We desire such moments more than we desire money or fame or even happiness. It is what moves us from routine into possibility. We live for it. We can't really live without it. We want the other stuff that jobs and careers bring us and offer to society, and of course they too contain such moments. We need this poetry of being to help make sense of the world and to make life worthwhile. Now, I don't want to go all rhetorical and dead poet society on you, but this is true. This is the case. If you don't believe something like this, why do it? Why engage with it? I never wanted a career as such. I just wanted to write. Other things had to be done, and to be done well, for my own sanity apart from everybody else's well-being. I didn't plan much. I enjoyed my time at Goldsmiths very much, but had no idea what would come next. The only certainty was that I would be writing whatever the circumstances. Going out into the world with a degree like yours or mine is no easy passport to anything. But what you have chosen to do is a form of love, and that kind of devoted yet oddly disinterested love is a vital aspect of human life. Vital, from Latin, vita, life. You may do all sorts of things along the way, but it is what fascinates you, what you love and distrust and love again, that matters. You are not just job vacancies and career paths or plugged holes in the economy. You are representatives of the imagination and intelligence and of the art's own brand of perception and wisdom. That is your vital contribution. That is all I really have to say to you. And I must once again thank all those who have awarded me this marvelous degree, and I wish you the very best of luck in your future lives.